Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I am basically a a day after I intended to be here to record, and I feel like that's always my story. But I continue to really work for this consistency. I have been working for it, you guys. I just have had some things where I'm like, okay, my work takes longer and anyway, the truth of the matter is that I need to do this first thing before I leave the house. Otherwise, it may not get done. And that's what happened yesterday. Um, and I guess I wanted to explain that, like, one part of the process for me is that I do a job that, you know, I'm not on the clock, so to speak. So if um, it's why I choose to do this type of work for this season is, so that I don't have to be. So I sacrifice a more decent pay to try to have that flexibility of scheduling. So I'm like, well, then you got to do the things in the order that work for you. And this is that order because I keep trying it like, oh, I'll just do it later. And that doesn't always happen. So, anyway, just wanted to kind of, whoever's out there um, watching at some point in time, I would love for you guys to have some consistency. Maybe you watch a video a day. Um, so today is Second Samuel chapter 2. Am I correct? Second Samuel, right? Second Samuel, because I'm in Second Chronicles myself, so I was just like, I want to make sure I'm not getting it mixed up. And while I'm here, looking something up, I wanted to actually do the first thing that I intended to from the last video, and that is that there was, it was called Something's Amiss because I was trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here, um, kind of with this defeat um, for David particularly. So we are on Second Samuel chapter 2, today chapter 3, but let's take a little look back at chapter 2 and an article that I checked out. Thought I left it up after my last video so that I could share with you. Now I will be looking it up again. This is on Got Questions, one of my favorite sites. Probably my favorite. Got Questions. I put in Second Samuel chapter 2 and see what comes up. I know there was an overview of the second book of Samuel, but also and questions about Second Samuel. And then there's what is the story of Abner and Joab? I think we're getting there. But this is the one that I read because it was particular to chapter 2. What is the story of David and Ishbosheth? Let's and yeah, I think it'll answer a little bit of like, what is going on here as far as my question. Something's amiss, or my statement. Ishbosheth was a son of King Saul. His story is discussed in 2 Samuel chapters 2 through 4. David was king in the city of Hebron and over the tribe of Judah. Ishbosheth was made king over the rest of Israel. Abner, son of Ner, the commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. He made him king over Gilead, Ashuri, and Jezreel, and also over Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. Ishbosheth, son of Saul, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. The tribe of Judah, however, remained loyal to David. So remember that, right? So that's one way of putting it. The tribe of Judah just was loyal to David. That's why he was reigning over them. They were like, no, we're following you. Because I was kind of like, why is Israel divided here? Following a battle at Gibeon between Judah and Israel, Abner chose to join David. Abner was a military leader to Ishbosheth, who accused Abner of sleeping with his concubine. Now, this I don't remember, and it must be in the text, but honestly, they quote a text that's farther ahead. So this just may, so within the context, they're making this commentary. So the quote, what they're getting this from and the reference is 2 Samuel 3:7-11, okay? In his anger over the false charge, Abner vowed to turn the rest of Israel over to David. During this time, Rechab and Baanah, the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, set out for the house of Ishbosheth, and they arrived there in the heat of the day while he was taking his noonday rest. They went into the inner part of the house as if to get some wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Now, I believe we remember that. It says 2 Samuel 4:5-6. Let me read that, where it's coming from. Now, the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, Rechab. Okay, this is a different gory incident. And Baanah set out, and about the heat of the day, they came to the house of Ishbosheth as he was taking his noonday rest. And they came into the midst of the house as if to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Baanah, his brother, escaped. So this is a different scene and a different account of a murder, because remember the one we heard, it was like, and the knife went through to the other side. Go back to my last video if you're into that. No, I'm just kidding. To hear what happened. Then it says the assassins brought the head of Ishbosheth to David, expecting to receive a reward. Yet David was displeased at their merciless actions and had these men killed, their feet and hands cut off, and their bodies hang beside a pool in Hebron. In contrast, the head of Ishbosheth was buried in Hebron, 2 Samuel 4:12. So we're getting a little bit of a spoilers here of what's ahead, just because the question here is, what is the story of David and Ishbosheth, who was introduced in this second chapter. Okay. See if it speaks more. I'm going to go ahead and, no. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this out. These events took place after David had ruled at Hebron for about 7.5 years. The end of Ishbosheth's life, though violent, opened the door for David's rule to expand from Judah to all Israel. Okay, so that, again, this is a little bit what's coming up. So we will stop there. Let's just realize, I think that there is a lot of, discord within Israel. And remember that David kind of defected to the other side of things. And, there were some things that followed behind that. So let's continue to read in 2 Samuel chapter 3. The boy Samuel, 1 Samuel, whoops. Samuel's grown up and he died. Oh, going way back there. Okay. The war between the house of Saul and the house of David lasted a long time. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon, the son of Ahinoam of Jezreel. His second, Chileab, the son of Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Higgith. The fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ithream, the son of David's wife, Eglah. So, lots of wives, as you see. These were born to David in Hebron. During the war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner had been strengthening his own position in the house of Saul. Okay, now Saul had had a concubine named Rizpah, daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why did you sleep with my father's concubine?" So this is the start. We just had a little bit of a intro to already. Abner was very angry because of what Ishbosheth said. So he answered, "Am I a dog's head on Judah's side? This very day I'm loyal to the house of your father Saul and to his family and friends. I haven't handed you over to David. Yet now you accuse me of an offense involving this woman? My God, deal with Abner, be it ever so severely, if I do not do for David what the Lord promised him on oath." Okay, so here's something that gets carried out. Sometimes things get carried out in a way that's like, somebody may not be doing something right. But if God says this is going to happen, this is going to happen. So, and transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and establish David's throne over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba. Ishbosheth did not dare to say another word to Abner because he was afraid of him. Then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, "Whose land is it? Make an agreement with me, and I will help you bring all Israel over to you." "Good," said David. "I will make an agreement with you, but I demand one thing of you. Do not come into my presence unless you bring Michal, daughter of Saul, when you come to see me." Now remember, Michal was the daughter of Saul, as it just said, but she was the daughter who Saul gave to David in marriage. But I would say Michal showed more loyalty to David than to Saul. And Saul chose at some point to take Michal away and give her to someone else in marriage. So David's like, okay, bring me back this wife of this woman that was my wife. Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, son of Saul, demanding, "Give me my wife Michal." See, it's his wife, he says, "whom I betrothed to myself for the price of 100 Philistine foreskins." So, do you remember that? Yeah. So, Dave's like, I courted this woman by, quite an act, and so she's mine. So Ishbosheth gave orders and had her taken away from her husband Paltiel, son of Laish. Her husband, however, went with her, weeping behind her all the way to Bahurim. This is some hard things, some hard relational stuff, right? Yeah. Then Abner said to him, "Go back home." So he went back. Abner conferred with the elders of Israel and said, "For some time you have wanted to make David your king. Now do it. For the Lord promised David, 'By my servant David I will rescue my people, Israel, from the hand of the Philistines, and from the hand of all their enemies.'" Abner also spoke to the Benjamites in person. Then he went to Hebron to tell David everything that Israel and the whole tribe of Benjamin wanted to do. When Abner, who had 20 men with him, came to David at Hebron, David prepared a feast for him and his men. Then Abner said to David, "Let me go at once and assemble all Israel for my lord, the king, so that they may make covenant with you, and that you may rule over all that your heart desires." So David sent Abner, and he went in peace. Just then David's men and Joab returned from a raid and brought with them a great deal of plunder. But Abner was no longer with David in Hebron because David had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the soldiers with him arrived, he was told that Abner, son of Ner, had come to the king, and that the king had sent him away, and that he had gone in peace. So Joab went to the king and said, "What have you done? Look, Abner came to you. Why did you let him go? Now he's gone? You know now Abner, son of Ner, he came to deceive you and observe your movements and find out everything you're doing. Joab then left David and sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern at Sirah. But David did not know it. Now, when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into an inner chamber as if to speak with him privately, and there to avenge the blood of his brother Asahel. Joab stabbed him in the stomach, and he died. Well, later, when David heard about this, he said, I and my kingdom are forever innocent before the Lord concerning the blood of Abner, son of Ner. May his blood fall on the head of Joab and on his whole family. May Joab's family never be without someone who has a running sore or leprosy, or who leans on a crutch, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks food. Joab and his brother Abishai murdered Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel in the battle at Gibeon. Then David said to Joab and all the people with him, Tear your clothes and put on sackcloth and walk in mourning in front of Abner. King David himself walked behind the bier. They buried Abner in Hebron, and the king wept aloud at Abner's tomb. All the people wept also. The king sang this lament for Abner. Should Abner have died as the lawless die? Now, Abner, he was the one who got sent away, right? And then it was uh, Joab who was the one, right? So I guess he was mostly just plotting against Abner by saying, he's going to he's not loyal. He's just trying to, be a mole basically. Um, and so yeah, I think that's why. So then Joab was found out to have basically been the one who was in the wrong, trying to get vengeance for himself because of what happened to his brother. So yeah, I just was putting that in place in my own mind, is that it's Abner. So David is still loyal to Abner. And he didn't trust or believe Joab that Abner was just, trying to go against him by coming and finding out what he was doing. So he's now giving him a proper burial, and he's honoring him in his death. Should Abner have died as the lawless die, your hands were not bound, your feet were not fettered, you fell as one falls before the wicked. And all the people wept over him again. Then they all came and urged David to eat something while it was still day. But David took an oath, saying, May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I tasted bread or anything else before the sun sets. All the people took note and were pleased. Indeed, everything the king did pleased them. So on that day, all the people there and all Israel knew that the king had no part in the murder of Abner, son of Ner. Then the king said to his men, Do you not realize that a commander and a great man has fallen in Israel this day? And today, though I am the anointed king, I am weak, and these sons of Zeruiah are too strong for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer according to his evil deeds. Okay, that concludes chapter 3 of 2 Samuel. And I think this is, as David showed in his allegiance to Saul over all those years and over all those many situations and trials that Saul put him through, I think that now that he's become king of Israel, he's continuing to establish his character. So it's important that, I don't think that he's doing this just to gain the praise of the people, but it shows that, he came into his kingship, um, as someone who's worthy to rule, right? And God put him there. He prepared him, and obviously for a purpose, And even though that we know that David wasn't a perfect king and he had all these wives, and then he even took someone else's, uh, so he had things that he needed to repent of. And yeah, I think that but I think it also shows that his character was his heart was right towards God. His heart was attempting to be the person that God wanted him to be for his people Israel. Okay, so with that said, I will look forward to tomorrow. I will take the time in the morning, and I will see you consistently from here out. I'm trying for 21 days, make it a habit, and hopefully it sticks. See you next time.